All right, question number 1 on React Upper Intermediate, Captain Tsubasa. Guys, you remember that anime? No, Captain Tsubasa? Are you kidding me? I'm sure if I show you some pictures of Captain Tsubasa, probably. I mean, depends on where you were when you were 10, 12 years old, right? Probably it got a different name, but that's the original name, Captain Tsubasa. If you go to Google, Captain Tsubasa. I mean, that's just so famous. It's impossible. Uh, Images. All right, here you go. Right. Ah, nice. Yeah. Well, that was in each country they got a different name, right? But yes, in Spain it was Oliver and Benji, right? Definitely. Yeah. You, you know, Elena. If you know an Italian, next time you met him or her, just play the song of Captain Tsubasa with him or her. And yeah, but they will be shocked because that's a copy of the Italian version of a different anime. So they are very upset that we in Spain use that name. All right, so let's ignore the regional particularities of the exercise and let's try to solve it, right? So this exercise is about presenting a list of players of kits actually in a particular format. It's actually about an individual one. Yeah, I said a list, but that's wrong. It's not all about building a list of anything. So I don't think we're gonna use map or filter or any of that. Yeah. So this is just about hard coding a single player. So that should be relatively simple. Interestingly enough, look at what they got on my screen. So that's something that our friend Vicky presented yesterday. Guys, do you remember? So, guys, no excuses, right? No excuses in that respect, right? Because Vicky talked about that. So, can anyone tell me what the hell is happening here in these two lines? Apart from Vicky, obviously. That's correct. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, this is. Yep. Yep, yep, that's correct. So this is not looking for any class or any ID or any attack or any attribute or none of that, right? So this is looking for two components, one of them called name and the other one called position. All right, so first things first. Do we need to deal with a state? Yes, you see? Wrapper.state, that means we need a class. Fantastic, fantastic. So let's prepare the class. Remember, guys, cons structure. Oh, I'm gonna suffer a bit. This is very slow. So the constructor, guys, remember we need to type super. This is just the convention, right? So we need to do it. And then let's talk about the funny things. So this dot state equals, and now I need to present the properties of my component. So we have two properties, name and position. Name and then position, and then let me copy and paste that because otherwise I'm gonna fail. So all right, cool. So that's the state, right? And now let's talk about the render function. So render should return a piece of JSX. So that's the same as using hooks, right? So the structure is pretty much the same. But the difference is now we're gonna bind, we're gonna link with this name and position components. All right. So let's for now put the name, and now let's pass a position, something like that, right? So now later on, somewhere else, we need to create these components. In this occasion, I'm sure we can easily deal with functions. There are no requirement. I don't think there is any requirement to use a state on either name or position component. So let's try to keep it as simple as possible, right? So with function name, return something. We'll see in a minute. What do we need to do here? And then function position, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So that's the idea. I think it's quite easy to figure out that in reality, we need to pass these details. We need to pass the name of the player to the name component, and likewise, we have to pass the position property to the position component. Right? Let me double check that. So this state, this is sorted, and now look. Let's pay attention to that line. So expect name.props.name. That's a bit hard to read, but the thing is, name refers to the name component. So name component, here you go on the right-hand side, should have a prop called name. Yeah, so definitely we need to do something like that. And then what's the value? The value is the name of the player. So guys, can anyone tell me how can I refer to that string, to that player's name? This is not the state.name. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And then here, what else do I need to do? That's correct. That's correct. So we destructure the name of the player, and then eventually we display the message in a given format, right? Name, colon, space, and then the name of the player. The name component doesn't care about any HTML structure, divs, labels, so let's keep it the simpler, the better, right? And pretty much the same thing with the position, right? Position equals this dot state. Oh, what the hell? This dot state dot position. So that's pretty much the same thing, right? The same idea. So I pass the position property, and then I return position colon position. All right, something like that. What do you think, guys? Is that gonna work? Why not? Update. We're here, line 24. Yeah, that's correct. The render method of Captain Tsubasa, yeah, it has two root elements. Guys, remember that's not correct. So we need to surround them with something. Yeah, something could be an empty fragment, could be a div, could be an array. Yeah, so we could return an array of components. So, but that's probably the easiest approach. All right, is that gonna work? All right, let's try it. See what happens. All right, so running, here you go. Eventually we got confetti time, yeah? So that code is correct. Do you have any questions? What happens if I don't want to type this dot state 2 times? Yeah, because that's a bit exhausting to me. So do you know any way to simplify that? The structure, that's correct. Look, guys, on line number 12, I can do let name position equals this to the state. Can I use, instead of let, can I use const? Why not? But are we updating it? Vicky, do you see at any point name equals Maradona? Are we doing anything? No, right? So we can use let and const. Yeah, const is for variables that are not gonna change. In this occasion, we are not overwriting the variables, so we can use either actually. Yeah? So name, and then position. Here you go. So that should work. Here you go. Still confetti time. And now we got another question for you. Can we refactor these functions, name and position, using const? Can we use, guys, you remember const name, correct, equals, and then you pass the prop, and then, yeah, you can do something like that, right? And then your functions are even simpler. So let's try that. So name and position, and then we obviously name that, yeah. And that should hopefully work as well. Let's try it. You see? So that's a different way of creating a function component. We still got a function. Name is a constant, so it's a variable. What type of variable it is? Is it a number? Is it a string? No, it's a function, right? So we can do that as well if you want. Any questions? No? No? Yeah, go for it. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. You know, guys, that when you create a variable, so let me call the variable const x equal 7. I cannot do that. We talked about that on the last week, right? I cannot do that. That's illegal because I'm using the variable before I declare it. Yeah, so I would need to do something like that. However, in this occasion, we are breaking that rule, right? Because we are creating the constants after we use them. The reason why this works is because in reality, Lauren, we declare the variables before we use them. Because here we got a class, but don't forget that render, that's an asynchronous method. So in reality, the code will stop here before it will stop there. Okay? So in reality, the variables are declared before we consume them. That's why it works. Yeah? But still, I think your point is absolutely valid. Yeah, because it looks like, I mean, chronologically speaking, we use them before we declare them. But in reality, at the time we try to use them, they are already declared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. As I told you many times, I'm not a huge fan of using that kind of expressions because they are a bit risky in some occasions, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate the advantages. So the code looks probably nicer or shorter at least, you know, so it's up to you. It depends on your coding style, to be honest. Anything else? Let me do a quick check on the code that you wrote. Guys, something I've noticed recently is that so, all right, before I tell you what I noticed, let me ask you something. What do you think about Vicky and Lauren? Is there anything that you think I may complain a bit? That's correct. That's correct. Remember, guys, double quotes, according to Airbnb, are only welcome when being used in the HTML bit. If they're using outside of the HTML bit, we should use single quotes instead. Yeah? There is something I don't understand about Vicky. What the hell that... sorry, no, ignore me. That's because of the resolution. No. Let me zoom it out a bit. All right, sorry. Ignore me. Yeah, you see that both Vicky and Lauren, that's fine. They are surrounding the name and position with a div. That's unnecessary. Yeah, as you've seen here, as you've seen in my code, I'm not using any div, right? Why a div and not a label? I mean, that's fine, don't get me wrong, but remember, guys, we should try to optimize the number of div elements in the screen because eventually you may have performance issues, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we got also max solution and max. Yeah, it was pretty similar, and it didn't work for Elena because she didn't create the name and position components, right? Anything else, people? No. All right. So let's jump to question number. I'm going to skip the question number 2 because we covered that one, the Spice Girls versus Backstreet Boys. However, sorry, I skipped the third one. I didn't want to do that. So let me go to the end and let me go back to question number 3. Display the average score of a player after completing a challenge. So that was quite simple. So we got again state. So that means we need a class, right? And that class will have a couple of properties. First, a score with number 78. Looks like this is hard-coded, right? We're not passing any. All right. So even easier, right? So let's hard-code number 78. And then second, the score, let's hard-code number 81. So guys, I don't even know what else I need to do, but let me do that first. So I got the constructor with the super method, and then this dot state. And then, yeah, first score, which is 78, and then second score, which is 81. That's all I know so far. And then let me prepare the render function, because I'm sure I will have to render something, right? What's the point of having a function that doesn't render anything? Having a component, not a function. All right, so, and that's gonna return something. Okay, so this is gonna display the average score is, so do I need to care about the HTML? Not at all, right? So let me simplify it a bit. So the average score is, and now that's a problem, right? Because I got a couple of numbers, 78 and 81, fine. However, look at that. Look at that. I got a third number, 61. So essentially, I want to get the average rounded score between 78, 81, and whatever the component is receiving. Yeah, that's the idea. So, you know, guys, I told you many times that one of the classic problems of junior developers dealing with classes is about the complexity of render. Yeah, we should try to simplify the render function as much as possible. What that means? I need to do some basic maths, yeah, because I want to get the average about 3 numbers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call a function called this dot get average. You see? So now I'm delegating the responsibility of getting the average into that function, right? So let me first of all get the first and the second score. I'm gonna use the structuring again. First score, comma, second score. There we go. Equals this dot state. And now, can anyone tell me how to access the new score property here, line number 13? Okay, how we do that, Vicky? Oh. Yep. This is the property of the state. Dot what else? Dot Friday maybe? No, that's not look good. This is the property of what, guys? That's correct, Lauren. New score, yeah, simple as that. So this dot props is an object holding all the properties that our component receives. Can we destructure line number 13? Yeah. Of course, I could. Yeah, I could do some operations here in the constructor, but guys, I don't really want to do that personally. Yeah. Absolutely, Elena. You see, guys, look at how beautiful that piece of code is. So in this occasion, that's the way you can destructure props, right? These are props. Yeah, it will be saved into a new variable called new score. You see, guys, we're follow some sort of consistency. You see, we destructure the state, we destructure props. So then, all right, the only thing we need to do is return first score plus second score plus new score, all of that divided by 3. Is that gonna work? That's correct. That's correct. So we round the results just to make sure that you read the instruction, right? So we definitely need to round math.round, something like that. Yep. All right, so let's see if it works. I did something wrong. The average score, missing column. See? Average score is column whatever, and then you got confetti time. That's pretty much it, guys. So, questions? We could take, yeah, go on. Yeah. No, look, I'll show you. technically speaking, there is a different way of solving the problem. Look, I can have props here in the constructor. We need to pass it in super. You need to remember that. And now I can do what? New score, for instance, colon props.new score. I can do something like that. Yeah? So if I do that, now new score is saving to the state. So you can do something like that. Yeah? So that's a different way of solving the problem. And that's gonna work as well. So that's fine. Yeah? I'm not against that. However, that approach has a potential caveat. Now our component is less powerful. Why? Let me ask you something. How many times the constructor runs when you create a component? 3. Why 3 and not 40? Why 3? Only once. That's correct. Just once. The constructor runs just once. In other words, if the data is going to remain static, all good. It works, as you can see. However, the new score may change. Yeah, we may change that number. The component may receive a new number. If we change that number, the component is not going to update the UI. Imagine that you got a button. When you click on the button, you change that number. If that's the case, the component will stop working because it will calculate the old score, not the new score. Yeah, that's what I don't like about the constructor, because that's gonna run just once. Even if we run the render method 4 million times, new score will always refer to the first one, because that method, the constructor, will run just once. However, if we go back to this style, yeah, every time you update new score, render method will run. Because render method will run, get average method will run. And because get average method will run, we'll always get the new prop. So that's why I believe that coding style is a bit more elegant, because it's more dynamic. If we update the props, the component will re-render and the component will deal with the right average each time. Does it make sense, Lauren? That's all right. Any other questions, guys? Yeah, of course. Let's do that. All right. So. Question number 3. Yeah, give me a second. We'll find out in a second. All right. So, Lauren, you see, so Lauren, she is doing it right. That's actually perfect. So if we change the props, render will render and C will get the right number. The only thing is, as I told you before, guys, let's try to simplify the render method a bit, yeah? Because eventually it is very easy to mess around with the render function. Once you got a monster here, it's harder to deal with potential issues, right? So let's try to put the render method on a diet, yeah, frequently. But yeah, all good apart from that. Same for Vicky. And then, all right, let me have a look to Max. Pretty much the same thing. The only thing here is, Max, be careful with the indentation. You see, Max has lost many points today. He's lost the second place because of many tiny elegance issues, right? So this is one of them. So if you open parentheses here, Max, whatever is inside of the parentheses should be indented to the right. And then Elena. Interesting. Can anyone see? Yeah, I found where the problem is. What's wrong with Elena's code? That's correct. That's correct, Vicky. Look, that's correct. I'm pasting Elena's code, and then look, when you destructure, yeah, you are creating new variables. First score, second score, these are variables. So you need to declare them. Let's run it and see if it works. Let's see, that was it, right? I mean, what happened if I ignore it? Do we get any proper message? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the thing is, I'll tell you something, guys. The error is not as descriptive as it should be. However, Elena, look, it's telling you at least the line, right? So you know the problem is here. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Cool. That was super close. That was super close. Good stuff, guys. Anything else about question number 3? No? All right. So let's jump to the 4th one. Perform some math operations. That's an easy question. So we got, again, another class component, and we have to respect that because, as you can see on the left-hand side, the test is explicitly asserting some sort of a state. So as we did before, let's start preparing the constructor. So constructor, first of all, and then I got super, and then I got this dot state, fair enough, and then what else? I got, not super again, I got A. Again, that's hard-coded, right? So, A4, A7 before, that's a bit strange, but, it's what it is, so let's respect that. And then I got the render method, and the render method will return something. Does it care about any sort of structure? Not at all. So this is just presenting a piece of text. So let's just try to deal with that logic. So what's the exercise about? The component is receiving one prop, which is the operation. The operation could be add. Yeah? If it receives add, we should display the result is A plus B. If we receive subtract, the result should be A minus B. If we receive anything else, we should display a message telling the user, hey, multiply. I don't know what that operation means. Like, this is still work in progress, try again later, whatever. All right, so let's play with that logic. So again, I need to access the operation prop. And you can do that by typing this dot props dot operation equal add. Then return the result is colon space this dot state dot A plus this dot state dot B, else this dot props dot operation equal subtract. Yeah. So what happens if we're trying to do A minus B? Well, pretty much the same thing, right? Actually, I'm gonna copy that, and then the result will be A minus B, and then eventually else, if we're still here, that means that we don't know what to do, so we want to display this operation is not supported yet. So first of all, ignoring any sort of optimization, is that gonna work? All right, let's run it. First of all, you see it works. You're right, guys. And now, if you come across that component in a job interview and the employer asks you, what do you think about it? If you have to review that code, would you suggest an improvement? Correct. The structure, what? The state, for instance? How do you structure the state? All right, give me a second. A comma B. Wait. Let's do that loud. Then we'll ask Elena. All right, A comma B. All right, so let A and B equals what? This dot state. Fantastic. So now we can simplify. Look how many times, look how simple it gets, right? A plus B is much easier to read, right? Don't you agree? Just, And then can we destructure anything else? The operation, that's correct, Elena. Same thing, right? This dot props. I'm lazy. I don't want to type this dot props all the time, right? So how do you destructure that? Yep, fantastic. And now we can get rid of these dot props, right? So code gets even simpler. Would you change anything else? I'll tell you something. one of the most fundamental issues when talking about coding is duplication. We should avoid any duplicated piece of code. Can you see any part, any line that is at least partially duplicated? That's correct. What happens if tomorrow business wants to change the message from the result is to the outcome is, or Brexit is? I don't care, right? I mean that business wants to change the message. How many times we had to do it? Twice, here and there. Can you see, guys, this is error prone? Because we may easily forget to remember that we need to change it twice. So guys, let's avoid code duplication. How can we do that? Well, I'll show you a couple of, sorry, Vicky? Let result equals what? This dot what? And then what? Like that? What type of data result is, Vicky? All right, that's not gonna go anywhere, Vicky. This props is an object, result is an object, not sure what you're gonna do, right? It's much easier than that, right? Look, first of all, I can create some sort of variable called let result prefix or text. I don't know. I want to save the common part into a variable, right? So I want to do something like that. So now I can do something like that, right? So now if let's try it just to make sure it still works. Here you go. So now if the message change from the result is to the outcome is, then fine, still working, right? Because we change it once, and then every single scenario consuming that message structure will use it. So that's fine, guys. That works. However, I'm not a huge fan of, from a readability point of view, about that. If I were you, let me show you what I will do. Let me revert what I've done recently. So let me get rid of the variable. And now I think it feels a bit more natural to create a new method called get result text, something like that. And then this is going to receive a variable called the result. And now look, return the result is colon space result. So can anyone tell me, once you got that function ready, what else do I need to do to complete the exercise? Call it, all right? Call it from where? 19, fair enough, all right? All right, fair enough. And what else? Same thing, right? In the line number 21, A minus B. Is that gonna work? Are you sure? All right. Who wants half a point in the board challenge of the week? Aaron, Max, Maxim, Elijah, Lauren. The question was if that's gonna work or not. All right, I'll give you a hint. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. And that's gonna throw a big error. The error is gonna be something like cannot call function or something like that, or maybe get result text does not exist. No, doesn't know, right? That's no, something like that. Why? That's correct. That's correct. Remember, guys, when you call class functions, you need to put the this dot prefix. Yeah. Next week, we'll talk a bit more about what the hell that prefix means. Yeah. But for now, remember to use it whenever you play with classes. Now, when you run it again, you see it still works. If I remove it, just to prove my theory, let me get rid of it. That's not gonna work. And now you see reference error get result text is not defined. Like that doesn't exist, right? So with this prefix, then everything works fine. You see, and I believe that's a very healthy, a very elegant way of solving the problem. Because now, if I want to figure out how the message is displayed, I know that it is centralized in that get result text message. Any questions? So let me have a look to what you did. I need to zoom out the screen a bit. So yeah, everyone is pretty much using a ternary. So for instance, max, A and B. Max, indentation again. I struggle massively to understand that. So make sure Max plays you indent the code. Yeah. For instance, if you compare Max and Elena, to me it is much easier to understand what the logic following Elena's instructions because he indented the code correctly. Yeah. Yep, so that's all good. However, Elena, remember to add a space separating your properties on the state. You see, for instance, as Max did perfectly. What about Lauren and Vicky? So Lauren and Vicky, yeah, that's all good. Vicky, remember to avoid double quotes as far as possible, yeah, unless you are dealing with HTML attributes. All right, anything else? No? So we still got time for the last one, right? So nested list. Oh, that's a tricky question, a bit tricky, right? All right. So in this case, I think the main complexity is trying to understand what the expectations are, right? Because that's quite intense. All right. So first of all, I don't think we have any reference to the state or to classes. So you know what? I'm gonna get rid of everything. Oh, and I'm gonna start from scratch by creating a function. Yeah. If I it change my mind later on, and then that's okay, right? It's okay to iterate. You don't really need to have a perfect idea about what's going on at the beginning, right? So let's iterate step by step. All right, so you got driver, F1 drivers, and then that component receives a prop called list. So let me just receive it here. What else? I have no idea what else, but I'm sure I will have to return something. So you see, I'm presenting the structure of the exercise, and then we'll see what else we need to do. All right, so look, first of all, get drivers, wrapper.find driver. So get drivers to have length, scenario.drivers.length. Yeah, so guys, this is what we call test rolling. So this is something that you will know if you have participated on the optional activity I shared with you on the last week about completing the exercise on testing, right? So I played that game with Elena last week because she actually participated on it. Yeah, of course you're still invited to continue working on that exercise. The thing is, we got two scenarios, so that's an array of tests. Yeah, so we can unroll them, and then we can actually go through them one by one. So the way it works is get drivers to have length scenario.drivers.length. So we are expected to have as many elements with class name driver as drivers we got. In other words, we need to use map, right? We need to use map on the list, right? So return list.map. Give me, guys, a good argument name for map. Driver, fantastic, perfect. Yeah, because we've got a list of drivers, so let's call it driver. Fantastic. And then for each driver, first things first, I know I'm gonna have a class name called what? Driver, that's correct, driver, yeah, because that's what we got here. Single quotes or double quotes? Double, because in this occasion, we are dealing with HTML, yeah? Div class name, that's HTML, or JSX if you want to be more precise. But that's markup language, that's not JavaScript as such. So driver, and then we'll see something else. Do we need anything else on the number 5? The key, fantastic, fantastic, the key, right? And then what should we use as a key? That's correct, Vicky, driver.name, because that's unique. At least regarding the scope of this exercise, the name of the drivers is unique. Yeah. Yeah. So what else? What else? What else? So that's the driver. And then look. Let's move on, right? So driver name and driver positions. Look. So once we got the driver, so here we got each driver with driver.find name. In other words, inside of the driver div, we will have another tag called name and another tag called positions, right? So let's go one by one. Div class name equals double quotes again, name. And how do we get the name of the driver, guys? Well, we done that before, right? Driver.name. So, and now that's the tricky part, the positions. Class name, position. Oh, what the hell is that? Not position. Positions. And that's the tricky part. Why is that a tricky part? Because look, you got an array, not an array, sorry, an object with key values. So it is vital now to understand that piece of code at the bottom. sn.drivers.forEach, so give me the driver element, fantastic. And now look, object.keys position, so this is gonna loop through all the keys, well, you see, 1991, 1982, whatever, and then return, look at the structure. So in reality, this is supposed to build something like that. First of all, the year, 1981, colon, and then the position the driver finished that year. So for instance, I'm focused on Nigel Mansell. So 1991, he finished second. 1982, he finished first. And 1994, sorry, he finished ninth. Yep. Something like that. And then we need to do that for each driver, of course. That's the tricky part, guys. That's the tricky part because we had to iterate. We don't know the year up front. We cannot do 1981 because, I mean, this guy was not even born in 1995, in 1981, right? So this is dynamic, right? Depending on how old the driver is, you know, we need to display different bunch of years. But that's fine, because we got drivers. We got drivers.position. What type of data drivers.positions is, guys? That's an object, brilliant. So how can we iterate through all the keys of the object? That's correct, guys. Object.keys, right? And then if we're going to go through each key, which method do we want to use? Dot map, that's correct. And then what variable name should I use here? Position. I disagree. I disagree with you, Vicky, because position is the value. And I'm getting the keys. It can be key, definitely. I mean, you are doing nothing wrong here, Vicky. It can be the key. But can we improve the semantics a bit? Year, that's correct. Year, because that's the year, right? It is true, because we should be careful that the year is represented by a string, yeah? But I don't think we need to run any math operations with the year, right? Like adding 3 months or something like that. So I'm gonna relax a bit the expectations from a semantics point of view. All right, so I got the year, and now what else, guys? How can I then build that message? Well, now that's pretty simple because I got the year. First of all, year, colon, and then how do I get the position associated to that year? In other words, how can I get the value associated to that key? Driver.positions, and then That's correct. Driver.positions of gear. So I'll tell you something, guys. I've done a typo on purpose while I was dealing with the exercise. And that's another classic job interview question. They present you a function like this one, which is supposed to work. It's actually almost working. However, there is something else somewhere. Can anyone spot where the typo is? What's wrong here, Max? That's correct, guys. This is gonna throw an error. Cannot access positions of undefined. Or look, drivers is not defined. Yeah, even simple as that. Yeah. Why is that wrong, guys? Correct. It's exactly. It's one driver's position, as Lauren said, right? So there should be driver in singular. Yeah. Let's run it again. There's something wrong. Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, ho. Look. I forgot something, guys. That's my fault. I didn't that on purpose. Look at what we did. 2003, 6, what the hell? Yeah, it's like an encrypted message, right? Can anyone see why the code is, it looks so weird? That's correct. Guys, what type of data object.keys whatever.map returns? An array. We don't want to present arrays to the user, right? What the hell an array is? If I present an array to my mom, she doesn't know what an array means, right? So I need to format that in a given way, right? And actually, if you pay attention, you see, oh. Yeah, we are supposed to join the gears. The driver has participated, something like that. Yeah. I'll tell you more. Whenever, without this, whenever guys you chain multiple array operations .map, .filter, .reduce, .sort, whatever, guys, remember that for readability reasons I will invite you to keep each array operation in one line like that, so then the code is easier to follow. Yeah, first of all you map the results and then you join them all, and in this occasion you got confetti time, proving that the answer is right. Will you improve that code at any level, guys? Is there any way to improve it? That's correct, Lauren. That's correct. We can destructure the driver. And now, can anyone help Lauren? So how can we destructure? What can we type here, guys, to destructure the driver? Name dot position. What do you think, guys? Is that the right way of destructuring? That's correct. Where? The key here? Correct. Outside of the code bases. Yeah? And then obviously now we can refactor, remove exactly any reference to driver. Be careful, guys, it's very easy to forget any of this, right? And now the code gets a bit simpler. Actually, look, now I can probably even move the map into one line. So, even easier, right? Let's see if it works. Position, yeah, of course. Right, of course, yeah, that's my fault, right? So I call it position in singular. Do you have any property called position in singular, guys? No. So I want to change that. Positions in plural, and then it obviously works. Nice one, Max. Anything else, guys? No? Yeah. That question was about intents, not because of what you need to build, but also not